Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. I never thought I'd see the day where I'm going to have a conversation about dogs and cats. But as one can expect from the Trump presidential campaign, anything can happen. And some of the most bizarre things happen in relation to this campaign. I don't think that cats and dogs have been, I don't know, so popular since the Pink Panther, Tom and Jerry, and any other cartoon character you care to think about that represented a cat or a dog. So here we are again talking about cats and dogs, and it's rather sad, I think, that we're talking about them in the context of a certain specific group of people who, according to Trump, are devouring them, clearly in large numbers, because for reasons I do not know, for reasons which haven't been explained. And what really we need to understand about all of this stuff is that Trump will do whatever he can in order to present a lovely, glowing, crystal figure that we could start to stare at, because in this instance, he was extremely embarrassed by the debate. So I think this is what he's doing. Now, Trump hasn't got the intelligence to be able to do this himself. In fact, I believe Trump often falls over himself by mistake. And he just, I wish I could find it, he just did a reference to Nicky Jam. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but he did this reference to Nicky Jam. I don't know whether I can bring it up on my screen. I will endeavour to do so, and we'll hear what he has to say about Nicky Jam. This is classic Trump being incredibly stupid. So I'll try and bring it up for you. Be able to see part of it here, I guess. And this is what he did, which really indicates what a moron he actually is.
Latin music superstar Nicky Jam. Do you know Nicky? She's hot.
She's hot. She's hot. Just remember that. Nicky Jam, apparently, according to Trump, is hot.
Where is Nicky? Where's Nicky? Thank you, Nicky. Great to be having you here. Now you have to get...
Now, is this cognitive decline or just stupidity or a combination of them both?
Oh, look.
Oh, there's Nicky. Nicky's got a beard and probably carries around with him appendages that most women don't have. So, well...
I'm glad he came up.
I'm glad he came up. What a clown. So this, I guess the point is that this is the stupidity which happens to be Donald Trump. And we all kind of, I guess, in a bizarre way, we kind of become accustomed to it to some extent, which is, I think, in itself a bit sad. But there's something which has interested me about the Australian media, is how everybody is now connected to this stuff about cats and dogs. And, you know, how can you justify it? Well, you can't, because it's untrue. And the person that initially posted this on Facebook also has apologised for having done so and regrets that it's caused such a furore and that it's harmed so many people. And the sad thing is that as a result of this post, which was supposed to be about a Haitian man walking a dog, whatever. No, carrying a duck. Sorry, I lied. Carrying a duck, and then that progressed into this other thing about eating cats and dogs, which just doesn't happen. There's no evidence whatsoever, and I guess one of the disturbing aspects of all of this for me is that nothing. That even though most people, everybody, normally in the community, apart from J.D. Vance, who believes that it has happened, and Donald Trump, who watched it on television, or heard about it from television apparently, are propagating this load of crap. And to what extent, at one point, do we say, okay, let's let's dispense with this garbage and let's get back to the real issues that concern us, which clearly should be the policies of Trump, the Republican Party, and the policies of the Democrats. Now, what actually has happened is that a number of Republicans have become a little upset over two things. Number one, that Donald Trump did such a lousy job during the during the debate, and that now they're spreading this fallacious and untrue rumour about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio. Now, what does that mean to the rest of us, particularly if we're Australians? And I've had this question asked of me many times. You're like, why are you Australian? Why do you care? Because, believe it or not, we invest so much money into the security that you Americans say that you're going to offer us. Like billions of dollars of our money, our taxpayers' money, goes to you guys, you and the United Kingdom, to help defend us, because we sit alone as the largest nation, apart from China, I guess, that sits in the Pacific. So we're important to you, and you're important to us. And so what decisions you make affect us. So if you're going to have a clown, an orange clown, as your president, who is likely to withdraw from AUKUS, a process I don't like anyway, so believe me, I'm not arguing for AUKUS, and I'm not arguing for American to support us. I think we should stand alone. We're big enough and ugly enough to do that ourselves, but we don't tend to. We tend to rely on other countries to help us because we are a small population of only 25 million people. So, and with a massive landscape. I mean, you know, the land in Australia, for those that don't know, is almost the same as that in the United States, with the exclusion of Alaska and Hawaii. So our land mass is massive. And we do need to protect our borders. We are the largest continental island in the world. So we need you. But if we're going to have a moron running your country, then at some point that's going to affect us. And also, the other thing I think that affects us is that if our politicians, such as our right-wing politicians, see the effectiveness that Trump has, and if he wins, and he wins simply because he's spreading garbage, and that there is a portion of the community who accept the garbage that he spews, then that's likely to happen in our country. And there's already been some signs of that. So the trend could be that what's happening in the US may happen here. So these are the reasons why the United States is important to us. So the other question is, how does the Australian media represent what's happening? Well, most of them say the sort of things I've just been saying. But then there's Sky News, which is the Rupert Murdoch, who just will not let go of what the right say, and he continually, Sky News do anyway, continually talk about these issues in a way which I find unhelpful. And for those people that are watching Sky News in Australia, those right-wingers are also thinking, oh, this is a good idea. Perhaps we should start thinking about our politics differently. And there's a whole issue here, I think, around why it is that people might choose to support Trump. What is there about him that they like? I mean, the man's a billionaire. He doesn't actually care about you. He's said that he doesn't care about you. All he wants is your vote. So he says what he's been thinking. But what is there about him? And really it is the same here in Australia, that people feel unsatisfied. They feel devalued because at a time of not a recession, but inflation, close to a recession, but at this particular time, so many people feel like they're missing out. They're not getting ahead. They are having to pay higher mortgage rates, and they're having to pay more for their food and their utilities. And as a result of that, their income is actually decreasing. Their net income's decreasing. So what we experience here in Australia, for those of you in America, is the same. And that eventually the type of right-wing radical politics that we're seeing in the US is likely to find its way here as well. So we're going to wind up, so you're kind of like a case study. we're going to wind up finding out that, or discovering that what you've experienced, we're going to experience as well. And it's not just Australia. We know that this is happening with right-wing movements right around the world. But we need to be wary of it, because we need to find solutions for people that they can understand. So in the United States, even though there have been significant changes under the Biden administration, those messages don't get through. In Australia, the Australian government's working hard to increase incomes, to ensure that the safety net that we provide is secure, that elderly people are cared for when they get older, obviously, and so on. So, and that our education system is improved. There's a whole lot of things that are happening here in Australia that I think support the notion that the Labor government here is working as best as they can. They could still be doing much more in order to improve the country in which we live. And also climate change has become a reasonable discussion point here as well. So there's what's happening. But what's happening on Sky News? That's what I wanted to get to. Well, I'm about to show you a discussion between Mick McAvaney and Sky News presenter. And it's interesting just to watch their take. But I'm showing you this because this is an indicator as to where we are.
You know, it's fascinating you ask that question because I didn't notice it. Okay, I did that. That's not something that registered with me. And when I asked my wife about it the next day, she said she picked up on all of that and really didn't like it. It's fascinating to see what different people.
They're talking here about, and I didn't play the bit before this, but they're actually talking about if you watch a video of two people debating without the sound on, you get a better impression as to kind of who won the video, who was doing better, and this is what Mick McAvaney is talking about here.
People pick up. I don't know, again, what's going to speak to undecided voters. I don't think that they moved towards her in this particular race. Nobody really did great, and neither of them did really, really poorly.
I don't know why you just can't say that Trump did terrible, that he was shocking, that he was appalling, and there have been some Republicans now have come out and said just that, so I don't know why Mick doesn't do that.
I think Donald Trump wishes he could have done a little better. You know, she probably should have talked about policies better, but no one.
According to Donald Trump, is the best debate he ever gave. What in the hell are you talking about, Mick?
Lost the race, and certainly no one won the race at this debate last week. But it was fascinating to watch those little things and then see what different people pick up on. Because my guess is you ask 100 different people 100 about their opinions about this debate, and you get 100 different answers as to what they saw.
Well, I'll tell you, Mick, one thing that everybody picked up on was the
Now, this is the conversation about cats and dogs.
Comments about Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, abducting people's pets and eating them. Have a look at this.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Just on this point in relation to what Mick was talking about, which is watching people's response. You know, if you're in a group of people and someone said something that crazy, certainly you do what Kamala Harris did, and that is you would laugh and you'd probably mock them, which I think she did as well.
And it's a shame.
Mick, the thing that strikes me about this is that kind of as goofy as that is, and they're going to try and fact-check this away and say,
yes, it is goofy, and we have fact-checked it, and it's a lie.
He's completely wrong. It feels like it's also given people a bit of a space where they can talk about the disruption of mass migration into a lot of communities in kind of a...
Now, this part of it, I actually do agree with. This wasn't its intent, I believe. It was a goofy comment initially made by J.D. Vance, followed up by Donald Trump, followed up by the media, whichever way that works out. But at the end of the day, this is a comment which was not designed to bring to the attention of the American people the immigration issue. Now, the reason why I say that is that the immigration issue is not about Haitians. The people that they're talking about here are legal immigrants. They have the right to work. They're not undocumented immigrants. They are there, and they're there because Honda decided that they were going to produce their cars, or poor parts of their cars, I think, in the US in a site that they built in Springfield. And what this has meant, though, is that they've had to have a lot of labour come in. And so from this 58,000 population, it's increased by 20,000 people. Now, that in itself has created an issue for the community because, you know, whether there was housing, whether there was enough infrastructure for all of these people, and so on. Now, that has become a problem. The crime rate has not necessarily increased because of these people. The crime rate is still committed by the naturally born or people that are nationalised Americans. So those things haven't changed. So why Haitian? Why is that the issue? And I reckon it is because of this expanding number of people. But they're not offering explanations as to why so many people have come into Springfield anyway. And they should, but they don't. And they don't because it simply is not convenient.
Sort of a weird and almost fun way when you look at all the memes and videos going around on the internet. Do you think that this has weirdly kind of given the Trump campaign a bit of energy?
You know, J.D. Vance did an interview, I think, earlier today in this country, and he said, look, nobody in the mainstream media wanted to pay attention to what was happening with immigration in Ohio until Donald Trump started talking about people eating their cats. Now, folks are actually paying attention to it. By the way, James, I think that's part of the genius of Donald Trump. That's one of the reasons.
Oh my God, it's not, Jesus Christ, man. There's no genius in this, and it's not Donald Trump. You know, he couldn't even remember whether this person he was introducing just a minute ago at his rally was a male or female because he just didn't know. The man is not a genius, far from it. And you're a bit of a clown for even suggesting that he is.
He speaks in these exaggerated sort of messages, so he gets people to pay attention, even though they think they're paying attention to things that he's got wrong. But right now, in this country, there's a discussion about immigration in middle.
There's been a discussion around immigration for ages, forever. You know, and you morons in the Republican Party were the ones that decided to can it, or Donald Trump decided to can the idea because it would make Biden look more favourably. So the issue for me is, should we have grasped, should the American Party, should we be replaying, I'm replaying it now, so, you know, I'm part of the problem, I guess, but should we be replaying this stuff over and over again about cats and dogs? And yes, it is funny, and I did see a video of a guy with barbecue and this cute little dog standing on this barbecue, and he was pouring salt and pepper and whatever on the dog. So people are having fun with it, and so you should. But this is not about Donald Trump rescuing dogs and cats. This is, in fact, what he wants to do is dispense with as many immigrants as he can. He wants to put them into camps and then deport them. So he's not in favour of any form of immigration in that country whatsoever, not understanding the economic ramifications of taking an attitude like that. He has got no idea because the man's thick as a brick. But certainly people like Nick Mulvaney should have a better idea as to, Mick Mulvaney should have a better idea as to exactly what's going on, and they should be honest about it. But they're not. Far from it. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for further notifications. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.